To create a hem, fold the edge of the fabric to the wrong side. Iron a crease line 3 or 4 centimeters from the edge and continue to iron the crease line evenly around the whole bottom of the skirt. Now fold the cut edge into the crease line and flip it up again and pin. Continue to flip and pin around the entire hemline. Position the hem so that the needle will sew near the inside folded edge and not along the bottom crease line. You don't need to backstitch, just check which guideline you can use to help you sew straight. The stitches are going to be seen, so you need to sew straight. When you have sewn all the way around the hemline, overlap your sewing by about 2 centimeters or so. Draw the bobbin thread to the wrong side by gently tugging on the needle thread and pulling up a loop. Then tie them together as a knot, hard against the fabric. This is done just to prevent any sort of backstitching showing and looking a bit too clumsy on the right side. Now just clip your threads to finish. A final iron or pressing is really an important finish for your skirt. This is Benina's odd looking buttonhole foot. Place your button on it between the red guidelines and use them to measure your button width or diameter. Then add 3 to 5 millimeters depending on the thickness of the button. To mark the buttonhole, place the button on the waistband where it should sit. Center it and position it 6 to 8 millimeters from the end. Put a pin to mark the center of the button and move it maybe a few millimeters towards the end. The buttonhole should finish about 15 millimeters from the end of the waistband. Change to the buttonhole foot. To avoid tangling, poke the needle thread through the gap in the foot and pull both threads under the foot and towards the back. Before you begin, reduce the stitch length to its lowest and then twist it 180 degrees or a little bit more so that it's a tiny bit longer than 0. Place the end of the buttonhole foot over the pin marker. Make sure the foot is centered over the width of the waistband. Lower the foot and remove the pin. Turn the buttonhole dial clockwise to 1. So the first side of the buttonhole. This row of stitching is the left-hand side of the buttonhole. Keep the foot in the centre of the waistband. Stop when the 2 red markers line up. Raise the needle. Turn the dial to 2. This will sew a line back to the start. Raise the needle. Turn the dial to 3 and sew the end of the buttonhole for about 10 stitches or so. Raise the needle. Turn the dial to 4. Keep the foot steady and centered as you sew the other side of the buttonhole. Stop when the 2 red markers line up again. Raise the needle. Turn the dial to 5 and sew the end of the buttonhole for about 10 stitches or so. Raise the needle. Turn the dial to 6 and sew for about 5 small stitches or so to finish. Clip all threads. To cut the hole, use a quick unpick or a small, sharp pointed pair of scissors. Be really careful not to cut through any stitches, especially at either end. Check that your button passes through the hole. And that's it. To position the button, close the zip and line up the waistband the way it should be when it's fastened. Pin the waistband together. The button will sit at the end of the buttonhole. Mark it by poking a pin through the buttonhole. Now undo the waistband carefully and secure the pin. This is exactly where the button will be sewn. To prepare to sew a button on, cut a good 60 centimetres or more of thread. Fold it in half and put the thread where it is folded through the eye of the needle. Then line up all 4 strands and tie them into a knot close to the end of the thread. On the wrong side of the waistband extension, sew one small stitch and make sure the thread is securely attached to the waistband. Put the needle through to the right side of the waistband in line with that pin that you put in there. Now this should go through the hole in the button. Make sure you go through the back of the button to the front of the button, and then back down through the front of the button to the back, and then through the waistband. Don't pull it too tight. We need a little bit of looseness in the button, just a little bit. Now repeat. Put the needle through the waistband to the right side and through the first hole in the button, across to the second hole in the button, and back through the waistband. Again, don't pull it so tight. Just leave a little bit of slack. Repeat this process a third time and you will have 12 threads holding the button into position. Now you want to put the needle through underneath the button, so it doesn't go right through the button and its holes, and wrap it around the button just a couple of times to create a little bit of what we call a shank. Now bring the thread to the wrong side of the waistband and you're going to do just another 1 or 2 tiny little stitches to secure the thread so the button doesn't come loose. Once you've done that, tie a knot with all 4 threads and try and bring the knot really close to the back of the waistband and clip.